Hey guys, hope you guys are having a great afternoon, great morning, great evening, wherever you are in the world. Today's video I wanted to make on 800 meter training. I had a friend on YouTube leave me a comment, and his name's Patrick Frost. Shout out to Patrick. Thanks for your comment, Patrick, and I wish the best for both you and your daughter. And sounds like your daughter's off to a great start with her racing, and you know, it's the sky's the limit in terms of what she'll be able to do in the coming years. I wouldn't doubt that, based on what I read, that she will, definitely have a shot at the Olympics or Olympic trials. One step at a time. But I wish her and you all the best with your training. In regards to the 800 meter training, I never really had the leg speed in terms of the 800 meter, but I did run 2 flat several times in high school. I never ran the 800 meter when I was in college, but I do have some background in the event, and the fact that your question was how to break a sub 230 800 meter is something I can definitely talk on and give you hopefully some points, some feedback that may be helpful. And if there's something that if I don't go in depth enough on this video, or if there's some specific part of the video or an additional question that you have, let me know in the comment section, because I make these videos, but athletes around the world that stop in may have another question or something a little bit more specific in regards to the video. So please leave me a comment. And if you're brand new to the channel, click subscribe, click on the bell icon, so when I make a new video, you'll be notified every time. YouTube will send you a notification. And give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know what you think. If you haven't yet stopped at RunDreamAchieve.com, I've had the site since 2011, been running for 28 years. Mainly in the long distance events. Did start off with the 800 meter and the mile, and 2 mile in high school. So I've experienced the immense pain that the 800 meter event will definitely throw at you. So in terms of in terms of 800 meter training, if you're trying to break a sub 230 800 meter, you have to maintain 75 seconds for those 2 laps. So the 800 meter event is a very highly anaerobic event, so you definitely have to be working on your speed. It's not like the 5K or the 10K, or especially the marathon distances. You need a lot of speed. You need to continue to work on your leg turnover, doing those strides every other twice a week, which is one of the tips I wanted to throw at you, Patrick, and anybody else that's listening that's focused more on the 800 meter. Strides, I recommend doing those at least twice a week, because they really, over a long period of time, you're spending time at sprint paces, and you're spending time running faster than goal race pace. So in terms of the 800 meter, you're already pretty much sprinting, but you want to continue to work on and develop your overall leg speed, because the 800 meter has zero forgiveness in terms of you making some kind of mistake. If you go out too fast in the 800 meter, I feel sorry for you, because I know myself, because I went out far too fast in the first 400 meters several times when I was in high school. I constantly was trying to run. My goal was to break 155, and I continued to run either 2 flat. In fact, my personal best is 2 flat .02. So, and again, it was me going out 55 seconds the first quarter, and then just kind of crashing and burning especially the fourth 200 meter of the race. So pacing is very, very important, as is your overall focus on building your endurance. I mean, you can either run, the best way to run the 800 meter is to either run even splits or to run a negative split. If you go out a little bit more conservative the first 400 meters, Patrick, I think that's a really important plan in terms of you getting under 2 minutes and 30 seconds. If you go out, say like in 116, and then you come back with a 113, you got a 229. I know you mentioned running between 215 and 220. Again, if you follow these tactics that I'll share with you here in this video, I guarantee you'll run between 215 and 220. Like I said, you definitely have to really focus on improving your leg speed, but you also have to do the other variables that go into successful racing, and that's building your endurance, working on your stamina, working on your strength. So I do recommend doing strides twice a week on top of your training, because they're too short. Strides are usually between 50 meters and 100 meters in length. You want to gradually speed up as you're doing the stride. And I would do between 5 to 6 100-meter strides twice a week. I'm training for my races. I usually do it on my easy days because, like I said, they're too short to really build up any real large amounts of lactic acid. So, but they also really help you continue to work on that leg speed and work on strengthening your overall speed. And that's what we want the 800 meters, especially 100 meters, because you have to have it. You have to be able to take off with your competitors, and but you also have to have the patience, especially in that first 400 meters. You know, I think the key with the 800 meters is that third 200 meter. You know, because that's the point. It's sort of like the third lap of the mile. You know, where a lot of athletes are kind of settling in, but it's still aggressive, but they're kind of backing off a little bit. But the best athletes can really crank on that last 200 meters. And if you can do that, that'll kind of itch you down, you know, get you down below the especially the sub 2:30 800 meter time you're looking for. Let me see here. Another thing I mentioned previously is kind of continuing to focus on your building your volume. You have to have a strong foundation regardless of what event you're training for. When I was training in high school for the 800 meter, really from my freshman year to my senior year, I ran the 800 meter in high school, and after high school I never ran it again. I kind of wish I did when I was in college, but I enjoyed the event. I know what I had to do to improve. I mean, for me to get down to 2 flat, the first time I ran it in 2 minutes and 30 seconds and got it down to two flat. And I continued to work on building my mileage up over a long period of time. This was 4 years of training. Early on, I would run between 30 miles a week, and then I got it up to around 50 to 60 miles a week by my senior year. So you have to continue to think long-term. Short-term thinking will get you, kind of mediocre results. And I say that because the big-time crazy types of goals that we shoot for as athletes sometimes takes years to achieve. And to break a 2:30 800 meter, I don't know what your current personal best is, but if you continue to lay the foundation, continue to work on your volume, build on your mileage, that's going to make you obviously very strong in terms of your endurance. With the 800 meter, you have to also be focusing. Endurance still counts. If you can get your long run out to around 10 miles, I'm telling you, what's 800 meter going to feel like? 10 miles is going to make you very, very strong. But with the 800 meter, you also have to know it takes a great deal of stamina and strength. You need those two, particularly speed and strength, in order to run the 800 meter well. But you also have to have that strong foundation put in. So, a good 12-week build-up is I think is solid for an 800 meter event. In my background, it has been in between 5K and the marathon distance. But when I was in high school, I was still doing long runs. I was still putting in between 4 and 6 days a week. I was running. So coupled with your bodybuilding that you spoke about, I think too that you're already in the gym. You're already working on those running muscles. Continue to work on that as well. And the explosive types of workouts and exercises in the gym. And that's another video I'll definitely be covering here in the future too, Patrick. So another tip I want to share is doing those tempo runs. I don't think with a 12-week building into your main 800 meter event. I think starting off with maybe a 3 mile tempo. Training at your anaerobic threshold, which is around, like I said, if you have a heart rate monitor, or I definitely recommend getting one, and doing your tempo runs between 164 and 174 beats per minute. And again, heart rate is going to vary from athlete to athlete. So if you're 20 years old, your maximum heart rate is going to be, a lot higher than somebody that's, say, my age, 43. But I think too, with doing those tempo runs too, you're improving your lactate tolerance. So the more efficient you can become at running and improving your lactate tolerance is going to make you very strong for the 800 meter, where there's such a large amount of lactic acid that's built up in that race, and you have to be strong. You have to be able to sustain that quick pace over those 2 laps. So I think doing the distance from starting off the first 3 weeks at a 2 mile tempo, Okay, so for 3 weeks, once a week, I want you doing a 2-mile tempo run at 164 to 174 beats per minute. Do that for 3 weeks. And then the next 3 weeks, move it to a 3-mile tempo, and then do that for 3 weeks. Okay. Again, once per week, you want to do a speed workout, you want to do a moderate tempo effort, and you want to do a long run. And the rest of the week should be focused on very, very, very easy running. I want to stress that to you and to anybody else that's watching this video, because it's so critical, because we're pushing ourselves so hard in training that for you to get that return on investment of your hard work, you have got to slow down on your recovery days. You know, I've trained, like I said, in past videos and on RunDreamAchieve.com and a lot of the blog posts I've written, I've trained with world-class half marathoners and marathon runners who will go out and run 9-minute mile pace on their easy days. And these are athletes that can go out and run 4:45 for a half marathon and sub 5-minute mile pace for a marathon. So I really want to stress that. If you want to improve at the 800-meter distance all the way up to the marathon distance, start focusing on backing it off on those recovery days. You need to be jogging, because on those hard days, when the hard days are called upon, they are going to take everything out of you, and you're going to have to be mentally strong and physiologically ready to handle those hard efforts. So balance those two out and you're going to succeed. So again, first 3 weeks, do a 2-mile tempo run, okay? Focusing on training your anaerobic threshold between 164 and 174 beats per minute, or right around that range. You want to train that specific energy system of the body. And then the next 3 weeks, focus on extending it to 3 miles. Do that for 3 weeks, once per week. Then 4 miles, move it to 4 miles the last 3 weeks. That's 9 weeks in. By that time, you're going to be a lot stronger, a lot fitter. So, and then those last 3 weeks of training, you want to start minimizing the volume, but your intensity is going to go up. So in terms of the speed workouts, I'd recommend doing 12 times 200 meters on the track at 38 seconds the first 3 weeks with a 90-second rest. And then the second 3 weeks, do each 200 meter at 36 seconds per rep with 90 seconds recovery between each set. And then for the next 3 weeks, move it down to 35 seconds, 12 by 200 meters. That's 3 times the distance that you're trying to race. So again, you're running further. You want to train your body to run hard over like 3 times the distance. It's still going to hurt regardless, even if you're doing this training or not, especially 800 meters. But you're building that volume, and you're spending that time, training at your anaerobic threshold closer to your maximum heart rate. Those VO2 max workouts that we talked about in a couple other videos. If you haven't watched those videos yet, definitely go back and check those out. But VO2 max training is very, very fast, very aggressive. You can only run a few seconds to a few minutes at that pace. So you do want to train at your VO2 max to improve that. You want to continue to gradually over time extend the amount of time you're spending at your anaerobic threshold, coupled with building your endurance, continuing to build on your volume, put in the consistent miles every single week, and then doing a 10-day taper, not a 3-week taper. 800 meters a little bit different because it's a track event, it's a sprint speed event, so but I still think it's very important not to drop your intensity and volume too far out so you don't feel flat and lethargic. I think a lot of times we do that. Sometimes as athletes, I've done it in the past, and every time I've done a 3-week taper, I feel like crap. I always feel like I started dropping my miles and my intensity too soon prior to the big race. So experiment with that, see if that works for you. If you're tapered and you've rested, you're going to go into your big race fully prepared and rested up and ready to crank out those 2 laps. And if you're trying to go 220, like you said, between 215 and 220, you're really going to have to move 70 seconds per quarter. That's really good. That's really fast running for sure. So, but I think that this type of training, where you're doing your speed workouts at 3 times the distance of your race, at speeds that are all 38 seconds, 36 seconds, 35 seconds, will get you definitely under 2 minutes and 30 seconds, and closer down toward 2 minutes and 20 seconds. Again, you're building that volume up from the distance that you're running, the easy volume you're doing each week, but you're also doing those tempo runs, anaerobic threshold, working on your lactate tolerance and improving that lactate tolerance, and then you're working on the speed, where the speed kills when it comes to the 800 meter. You got to have it in the marathon, you got to have it in the 5K and 10K and half marathon, but those track workouts, it's absolutely essential that you really work on those anaerobic systems, energy systems of the body. You have to train at that to run fast over 2 laps. Another type of workout that I did in high school is doing, in terms of the 800 meter, is doing 8 times 100 meters on the track, all out. I mean, as fast as you can with full recovery. So if you need 10 minutes recovery between each 100, so be it. But again, the idea behind this is to recruit those fast twitch muscle fibers. Those types of workouts will also work on your speed. And again, you're running much faster than you're going to race over the 2-lap distance. The last tip I want to share with you is basically just kind of running a few races. You know, if you want to alternate doing a tempo run with like a 5K race on the roads, type of distance where you're running further than the 800 meter, I think it's going to help you overall for the 800 meter, because it's going to build your strength, also improve upon your endurance as well. So hopefully these tips have been helpful for you, Patrick, and like I said, I really appreciate you stopping by. I appreciate everybody's comments. You guys, to give back to the sport that's given so much to me is an honor, and it's my duty now. Like I said, and I'm still competing. I plan on running a marathon in January coming up, next January in 2021, and a 10K and a 10 miler and a half marathon in late 2020. So I'm still at it. But I really get a lot of enjoyment hearing from you guys, what the videos are doing. Hopefully the advice that I'm sharing kind of is assisting you with your races. But Patrick, like I said, with the 800 meter, continue to develop and work on that speed and build on your endurance. Be able to extend the amount of time you're doing your long run. The longer you can go out, and I say get it out to where you're starting off the first 3 weeks at, say, around 3 or 4 miles for your long run, and then extend it out to around 10 miles. Again, that's going to build a great deal of endurance for you, and coupled with all the other things we touched on, the tempo runs, doing 12 times 200 meters on the track, 3 times the distance of what you're trying to race. Running those tempo runs, starting off at 2 miles and then extending out to 4 miles. Again, you're still running way further than you're trying to race. But you're running at an intensity that you can sustain over a 2 to 4 mile distance, relatively easy for the most part. It's not going to be easy, but you can sustain that pace. At your anaerobic threshold, you're not running at that intensity at 800 meter. You're running at a very anaerobic level. The more you can improve on your stamina, your endurance, and your strength in these types of workouts, will set you up for success when it comes to running the 800 meter. Like I said, if you're brand new to the channel, my name is Nate Pennington. I'm the founder of RunDreamAchieve.com. I've been running for 28 years. My main events are 10K to full marathon distance. Again, I've ran the 800 meter. I ran 2 flat .02 for 800 meters in high school. Ran 4:25 for the mile, 1600 in high school, and 9:46 for the 3200 meter. But I know the short events involve such a high level of anaerobic capability that you need to really develop your speed and work on short sprint, coupled with building your endurance, extending out the amount of distance that you're running for your long run, and then working on those workouts where you're training more closer to your anaerobic threshold. That's really going to set you up for success. So I appreciate the comment, Patrick. Thank you all for stopping by the channel. I'll continue to do the best I can to make the types of videos that you guys are looking for, and hopefully answer your questions. If you haven't yet, stop by RunDreamAchieve.com. I have training courses for beginners from 5K to the marathon distance up to the elite level for those distances. And I also have courses as well. You can just read on here on the screen about the different courses and training programs I have as well. So I'll talk to you guys in the next video.